What's up, guys? BARRYGAMING here, back with some more Mythic heroes, and today we're going to be going over the tanks in the game. I wasn't originally going to be going over this because, let's be honest, there's only like a total, I think, of like, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tanks in the game besides the brand new Typhoon. We're gonna go with Typhoon. So we again are not gonna include UR heroes in these lists, but we are gonna go over the top 5, which means someone doesn't make the list. But we're also gonna go over what they are good at and why they are useful. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Let's jump right into it. So normally on these not really tier lists, but these guides, I start with like number 5 and work my way to number 1. But I really think in this video, we need to start with number 1 because Athena is going to be like the end all be all best first tank, I feel like, for your account to build. Number 1 is it's kind of easy to get copies of her, but number 2 is she doubles as kind of like a healer support plus a tank all in one. She's just extremely good. Her divinity skills are very good too. Everything about her just screams like the best second hero to build along with your carry hero, at least from my experiences on 2 different accounts now. She just seems really good. It really weirds me out that she doesn't open her eyes. But let's take a look at her ultimate ability. So Athena beckons Holy Light to generate shields for all allies, which can absorb up to 300% of her attack. And while those shields are active, they're going to recover HP, which is very nice. This right here works as like a slower healing effect, more like a healing over time, so long as the shields are still up. Now, granted, if you have very weak heroes, they might go down really quickly, but as you guys have seen on my account so far, pairing her with Lucifer is an extremely good combo. They stay alive very long time together between the stuns, the healing, all that fun stuff. Very, very strong. Now, she does have a self-heal by itself as well in her Victorious Pierce. So she throws her spear at enemies right in front of her. It'll deal 200% damage to anybody it hits, and she will recover 12% of her max HP for every target hit. So if you put it, obviously you're going to want to put her in the front line where everybody converges to, and then if she hits everybody, she can get a gigantic maybe not gigantic, a very significant heal based off of that. Next up is Light of Athens. So this one's pretty good. Another CC effect. When she summons a beam of sunlight, it deals damage to the enemy with the highest attack and stuns them for 2 seconds. So the highest attack usually is going to be one of the more dangerous enemies on the side of the battlefield. Stunning them for up to 3 seconds is very good. And then the beam has a 50% chance to target an additional enemy. So I imagine that is going to go after the second highest attack whenever that actually works. Very good, very strong. So she has healing, she has shielding, and she has CC abilities. Very strong, but she's not done yet. She still has holy protection. She has an Aegis that blocks all damage to Athena for 2 seconds, reducing that damage to 1. During this time, increases Athena's hit energy restoration by 50%, and this effect can only happen once every 8 seconds. It's pretty sweet. You can get it up to 2.5 seconds that it works, more hit recovery, but her weapon really buffs up these abilities where I think when this actually breaks, you heal like all your allies. Her weapon is very, very strong. Now, typically, she's gonna be good pretty much throughout the entirety of your account. She's gonna be really good in the early game, and then she's gonna get even better towards the late game. The one thing she does she's not like amazing at is going to be boss fights, and that's mainly because all tanks on this list are not going to do great on boss fights. They're not damage dealers, they are tankers, and usually in most PvE boss fights, a lot of them, they're not dishing out enough damage for you to care about it. Now, certain ones, there definitely are. If you're going for your soul seals and everything like that, it's going to be very important. And then PvP, she's just kind of like, she's good middle of the road here, a little above average, very solid. But you can see here, her abilities are going to be very strong. That stun right there. Her ultimate is going to give her that shield right there. You'll see that little, the beams actually hit 2 different targets that time. Right there again, hitting multiple targets. Very good hero. Absolutely love this hero. She is amazing. I wanted to put her at number 1 and put her in the video immediately because there just really isn't any other first tank you should really build unless you're whaling, and then maybe, you know, the UR hero. So coming in at number 2 is going to be maybe something that not everybody will agree with, but I'm putting Gaia at number 2, and it's mainly because of how stronger she gets towards the end game more than the other tanks in the game. Now, one thing to note, Gaia in the early game usually is not a great pick. A lot of these tanks are not great. Anubis, all of them, they're not that great in the early game, but they definitely get stronger the further in the campaign and the more investment they have. Now, one little note to say here is I feel like the average account probably doesn't build more than one main tank and like maybe a secondary tank. And most of the time, the people that I've seen build multiple tanks are usually the spenders out there. So they're going to have Athena and Typhoon. We're just gonna stick with his name as Typhoon. So beyond the first two, it's really just personal preference, but I want to give you guys a breakdown of some of the heroes. I am gonna put Gaia as number 2, and it's mainly because of a couple things. Mainly, I guess we'll just say mainly one thing, and that is the ability to have good stuns against the enemy. Gaia is one of the other tanks besides Athena that has a divinity that when they die, they have a chance to stun all enemies for 3 seconds. Now, I use a Gaia in my lineup in a lot of campaign levels just as a fodder hero because as I'm going through it, I don't have max heroes yet. But getting her divinity up to like level 7 will let you get that nice stun off when she does die. And if she dies immediately, that just buys your Lucifer, your GM, whoever your main carry is time to get their ultimates off and everything. And it just it's a nice stand-in hero. But she is decently strong too. She channels power with her ultimate to deal damage to all enemies, also reducing their attack speed by 40%. So that's pretty big because, I mean, that's just less attacks they're going to have to deal with. More of a support for your overall team. The one other really nice CC she has is Brutal Bludgeon. Gaia charges briefly and deals damage to enemies and knocks them into the air. When it gets to level 4, they're also going to be stunned for 1.5 seconds where they land. This is the other part that's really good, is locking down enemies, especially if you're facing off against heroes like Lucifer and such, and those heroes that just have that insane lifesteal. The way you kill them is you CC them while you burst them down. She also has Rocky Semblance here, just a nice way to build up her defense at the beginning of combat. Remove control effects, things like that. She's very good at that. And lastly, her Earthly Vein. For every 35%, which goes down to 25 eventually, of total health lost, she gains a stack of Earthly Vein, increasing her max health by 4 times, and it can stack up to 6 times. So really, the reason why I like Gaia, honestly, is the stunning that she has. Especially when combined with the ability to have the stun and divinity. When she dies, she stuns the whole enemy team. Just gives your team a little bit more time to get some damage in. So coming in at number 3 is going to be Anubis. So I really think he is a really versatile tank. Not only is his strengths, of course, being a tank, being like a tanky person himself, but he has a ton of summons that can absorb abilities from your enemies. They also heal him and give him energy. He's a really cool hero, and for him, we're going to start with his active and not his ultimate. We'll get to that eventually, but understanding his active and passives is going to help you understand the power of his ultimate. So right off the bat, Underworld Balance. At the beginning of battle, it reduces the crit chance and crit damage of backline enemies for up to 20 seconds. This is really, really good to kind of buy your team some time to build up their defenses, their healing, and not just get immediately burst down at the beginning of combat. His Mummy Commander ability allows him to summon mummies behind 2 random targets. The mummies have 100% of his stats, but only 30% of his health, and you can have a maximum of 5 mummies at the same time. So this is a really interesting ability. So additionally, every 5 times a mummy uses an auto attack, he will recover 0.5% of his maximum health. Every 5 times a mummy attacks, the enemy's crit chance is reduced by 1%, stacking up to 10 times. And every 5 times the mummy attacks, the enemy is stunned for 1 second. When you have a ton of mummies on the battlefield, that can really add up to a lot of mini stuns all over the place. Now, the other thing to note with his mummy army is when they die and you have his upgraded weapon, he's going to get healing, and every time, if you have like a maxed out weapon, every time they attack a certain number of times, he gets like 10 energy. Really, really insane. Lastly is his Mummy Guardian. For every one mummy on the battlefield, he will gain 9% damage reduction, which is really, really sweet. And also, at level 4, it reduces all ally heroes' damage taken by 3.5%. That's pretty sweet, because it can stack up, which is really, really good. Now, on to his ultimate. He grows larger when he uses the ultimate, increasing his max health by 50% and increasing his mummy's attack speed by 100. So it basically like puts them into a frenzy. Additionally, he will heal for 60% of his maximum health, reset the cooldown on Mummy Commander, which is this one over here, and will last for 10 seconds. So, yeah, if you get the mummies going crazy attack speeds, and you also have his weapon that's going to feed him more energy, and you have like an energy tanky setup, he can just literally spam this off and off. Watch the mummies here. So you'll see them pop up between two random enemies. We got another one over here, another one over here. So we have up to 4 on the battlefield. And you can kind of see why it gets a little crazy, because not only are they like tanking damage that other targets would technically have, he grows bigger. I mean, they just start popping up everywhere on the battlefield. Really versatile hero. I love him. He's honestly one of my favorite. He's another one that is going to be pretty weak in the early game. He gets strong very much in the late game. Boss fights, again, he's not really that useful. None of the tanks really are that useful on the boss fights. PvP just average as well, so not too bad, but definitely up there in the top 3. So I'm going to kind of just finish off this list a little bit more truncated than I normally would. There's 3 other tanks in the game besides, of course, the UR hero that's brand new, which is very, very strong in the late game. Very, very much a long-term project. If you want a tank hero that's very strong, he's your man. But there's a couple other heroes that are tanks that are okay, but not really anything that amazing. There is, of course, where is he? Where is Hercules? There's Hercules. Hercules is a decent tank. Again, I really wouldn't prioritize building any of these next 3, which is why I'm not really going to highlight them much. They're all decent in their own right, but they really don't stand out that much. One thing to note is they are better in the very early game, but then drop off very hard. Hercules, if I had to, I would probably put him around number 4. After that, we have Hades and we have Thor. Again, not really ones I would probably pick. Hades kind of gets worse towards the end game, in my opinion. He's not that bad in the early game. And then lastly, I'd probably put Thor kind of at the end. I know Thor is like a fan favorite. He's got the red beard, you know, you gotta love that. But I really wouldn't say building any of these heroes is a good choice, to be honest, unless you're thematically going for something or you just want to have fun. Sticking to Athena, Gaia, Anubis, and then of course if you're spending Typhon, you guys know what I mean. Is going to be the best, but honestly, building anything besides Athena just seems like a stupid idea when it comes to tanks. So let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Moral of the story, build Athena, profit, have fun. She's a tank, she's a healer, she's an everything. And I'll see you guys next time.